was linked to abacha loot, and you are very close to him. You are aware about some of this loot and why some of these monies were kept outside of the country.
All right. This is a sensitive question, and all I want is for you to allow me answer you.
Absolutely.
Directly.
Go ahead, please.
First of all, if you know my background, money is totally secondary, and you may be shocked at the type of person I am. If I wanted to become a rich person, there were countries that were ready to make me a very rich person, and that would have compromised my professionalism, my commitment to be who I am and who I was when I was in service. So money is secondary. I didn't join the army because of money. I'm not in politics because of money. This country requires selfless services for Nigeria to come out of where we are. And I wish and pray that we can all appreciate, written or in mental sense, the difficulties ahead of this country from the findings we have. That aside, the issue of money, ask anybody, ask the military, ask those in civil, anybody will tell you that money was secondary. I have nothing to do with money. But there was a time I gave an interview about General Abacha when sanctions were enforced on Nigeria. Stakeholders of this country were called, agreements were reached, money were given to their accounts. But my greatest surprise today is that the media has not asked any of such big personalities to say money was given to you on an agreement. What happened to it after he died? None of you has gone to do investigative journalism. I was in prison. So many propaganda, so much messages, including those upon whom the money was given to in trust for Nigerians. But today, trinkle of it have been returned. And the question one may ask, was Abacha ever in those countries where the money was taken to? Did Abacha sign any of such account? Did they have his thumbprint? Is there a day that he deposited 10 naira? There are numerous questions that every simple bank, talk less of the bigger banks, should have as a data for the person that deposited the money. So my challenge is, where is one single paper to show that he has his account? I'm not sitting in for him, he's dead. But then the length of the propaganda from the policies he took, nothing more. I know he offended people by taking positive policies to sustain Nigeria. Many people are afraid to speak the truth. On my way here even, I just saw an interview by one of his ministers who were the closest to him, giving him advices. But I saw in an interview lately, disowning the same man. Remember, we will all die. We will all go back to God Almighty. We will answer. If General Abacha were to be alive, most of the statements and the propaganda you say were not to be. But because he's dead. But that's another thing. That's not what brought me here. What is of concern is Nigeria's future, Nigeria's sustainability, Nigeria's progress, and then for us to invest in getting our democracy deeply entrenched for our future to be prosperous for the younger ones. That's my major concern now.
So, I mean, in essence, you're saying that there are a lot of people who are involved in the transportation or the transposition of this money outside of the country, and they are still living.
I'm sure as a journalist you are aware that when sanctions were enforced in Nigeria, after Commonwealth, the then foreign minister came back with a debrief to the elders of this country from north to south. And some of the decisions that were taken was the issue of carving a means of making sure that the sanctions should not have effect on Nigeria. So money was kept with them. I gave that as an interview in 2014 myself. And there are some other people who have also spoken. But you see, because General Abacha had in the decisions he took, tough then, but it's all for the common good of Nigerians. He became an enemy to some people. Enemies at home, enemies outside. But the question I'm asking, he's dead. So I mean, this one is some of those people who initially sponsored, they did it to me for 15 years. They used it to torture me. To torture, I escaped to look like a human that you cannot understand. It's the will of God that I'm here talking to you normal, what I went through. But it's all false. And those who were used came to the court and testified. And most of these things that were testified that are today written in the documents of the court of law, the High Courts of Lagos, Federal High Court, Court of Appeal today, they have all written these documents for everybody to see. But the propaganda then continued. You know, they use it. One, we were being tried in a normal court of law. Second, we were being tried on the pages of newspapers. What was written in the night is echoed by television and radio in the morning to justify our persecution. And that they did for a very long time. But torture, today, if we are talking about torture, No sane society or government or any institution can accept that. But the question is, they always run away from discussing what they did to us. The question is, who initiated it? Who came up with the writing team? And the question is, what are they afraid of?
Who are these people?
You know them. We have
no. I mean, you are here.
No.
If I knew them, I probably would have.
You have been following.
Absolutely.
No. I'm coming.
But the question is, who are these people?
You have been following all we were doing. See, I'm not the type of person that hold malice. I forgive them when I came out of prison. Something extremely difficult to do, I did. Let me give you a tiny little example. Burning you with nylon after you are deprived of food for 2-3 days and water. Then the next thing, they will flash your bread. And before you know it, they will pieces it into gutter in front of you. And you are in chains, hands, leg, and neck. Only me was that being meted to. And at the end of the day, they will lead the nylon and be dropping the blue flame on you. Soon after that, hours later, they will hang you, your head upside down, and then they will twist you. The hanging in itself is done in such a crucial manner that even if you are told to stand up and walk 5 meters away and then earn your freedom, that will not be possible. That is how horrific it was. Besides beating, besides punishing my parents, punishing my family, punishing, there's a younger brother I had who was arrested for 9 years. All this happened in Nigeria. I remember for 15 years, I'm the first son of my parents. I was only allowed to see them 2 times. We are not at war. As at that time, I was still a serving officer. What is the